Are you guys still having problems tracking hot numbers in your state? Well, if you are, I want you to stay tuned because I'm about to show you some other ways to start looking at your pick 3 workouts, okay? Right now, today, we're going to use rundowns. I love rundowns because they help me figure out patterns, and state by state they're very different. You may be noticing sometimes some things will work for a few states, and then you have some other states that they have patterns of their own. Well, Louisiana is definitely one of them. Shout out to our membership for requesting this video. I want to share with you guys going back to May 8th evening. We're going to start there. We're going to start a few days back, okay? And there was a hit in that state, Louisiana, of 725. Notice I put it right here in the grid. Now, I'm going to show you exactly where these hot hits were coming from and what you need to do so you can start accessing those hot areas as well, okay? So the first thing we have to do is we have to learn how to put a rundown together. I know some of you say, I know how to count one out, Miss Florida. True, but we may have some new onlookers. If you don't know how to put one of these fun grids together, I'm going to just quickly count the first column and you'll know exactly what to do, okay? So we're going to add the first column all the way down. So 1 plus 7 is 8. 8 plus 1 is 9. 9 plus 1 is 10. Now, for your 2-digit numbers, we're only going to use the ones place. Use your 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. 5 plus 1 is 6. And 6 plus 1 is 7. So, the number you start with should be the number you end with. That's how you know you did this correctly, okay? Then all you would have to do is quickly add the second column down, 2 down, okay, and the 3 down the third column. That's it. Once you complete your grid, you should have your starting hit and your ending hit. Okay, that's the first step. You got to make sure you know how to get your grids correctly out. The next step, I want you guys to start identifying what I call a wing out. Okay, a wing out is where you're looking for either a double or a mirror connected to it. I want to show you exactly what I mean, okay? Make sure you have highlighters or you circle these important numbers because they're going to be very, very helpful. So what you're going to do, sometimes they're on the left side starting, sometimes they're on the right. But I noticed something for Louisiana, they could be more left-sided. So Louisiana, make sure you're keeping tabs on your grids. So look at this double 2-2. See that? I'm going to highlight that. This 2-2 actually extends to itself, but it does it in a mirror form. That's why a lot of people will totally miss this technique. You see this 7? 2, 2, 7. 2 and 7, guys, is actually the same number, but they're just opposite. So let's talk about more of these mirror numbers and why they're so important. Mirror numbers are very important because this is how the lottery will trick a lot of us. We may think a particular number will come, and sometimes that mirror of that number will come instead. And you'll be like, what? All I had to do was mirror the number? But if you are not looking for a mirror number, you won't study it, right? So let's talk about the mirror numbers you're going to need. Make sure you have them, all right? So the first set of mirror numbers are your 0 and 5. That means a 0 could be a 5 or 5 could be a 0. Then we have 1 and 6. That means a 1 could be a 6 or a 6 could be a 1. Getting it? You're just adding 5 to every number. 2 and 7. 2 could be a 7 or 7 could be a 2. They're the same, okay? A 3 could be an 8 or 8 could be a 3. 4 could be a 9 or 9 could be a 4. So those are your mirror numbers, okay? Now the thing is, you want to make sure that you know what they are. That's very important, because if you don't know how to look for your wing outs, you might miss it. So the 227 could have been also read as 222. But if you don't know your mirror numbers, you completely miss that this was a wing out. This is important because sometimes wing outs could be telling us a couple things about the state. And when you start seeing that there's specific patterns with your state, it's easier for your eye to go to it and kind of eliminate other areas that you just simply don't need to look at. Not saying numbers won't come from those other areas. What I'm trying to get you guys to do is understand how to read your grids more easily and successfully. So let's do this, okay? Now, so you had your 2, 2, 7, but I'm also going to do 7, 2, 2, okay? Let's talk about those mirror numbers once again. Why is that important? Whenever you have a rundown, you see how we started with the hit from May 8th, 725? Well, down the middle, it becomes a 220, all right? So just like this 227 wing out, we have a 722 wing out, okay? Now, feel free to use other rundowns. You don't have to just stick with 1, 2, 3. But for training purposes, I like to stick with 2 major rundowns, which is a 1, 2, 3 rundown and a 3, 1, 7, and that's how I can compare. But because the lottery is getting so tricky, if you have a favorite rundown you prefer to use it, okay? All right. So what I noticed for Louisiana specifically, and I'm not saying this may not work for other states, but I do want you to backtrack it to see if this may work for you. Most of the time, I like to look for hits that are connected to the wing out that go straight across. Like I'm looking at this 107 or this 220, simply because they're connected to that wing out. But some states are not pulling it like that. I said, what? I said, come on, Louisiana. But guess what? They have an alternate pattern. And this is why you have to start studying your state, because sometimes you may find something even more efficient for your state. Okay, watch this. I notice there's a little hidden area, okay? And I notice when it's on the left side, look at those doubles, the pairs and the hottest numbers are right around a particular area underneath the left side. Something I've noticed. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to actually extend the rundown because I need you guys to see a couple of things, okay? So I'm just going to extend it. Feel free to do it if you must. I hope you will if you need to, okay? Sometimes you have to, okay? So this is what I mean. I've been seeing that the main pairs are right under, especially if the wing out is coming from the left side. Make sure you know your directions, right? So look at this 3, 4. I noticed they're either using like a 3, 4, 4 or 3, 4, 6. I'm just going to put those down. 3, 4, 4 or 3, 4, 6. Louisiana, if you notice they're using another third number, just pay attention to what they're doing, okay? Your main numbers, I will say this though, are anything that's a double or mirror. Something I've been noticing. Okay, so your main pairs. So I probably should have said 4, 4, 3 or 4, 4, 6 if you want to look at it like that. That could be another way to do it. Okay, so let's look at the 7, 2. Remember, there's a change now. That means the numbers here are going to change here as well. Why do you want to give yourself options when you're playing? Because you don't know what particular numbers are going to be exact. And you never want to fall in love with the number and get emotionally attached to it, because if they play that mirror version of that number, you're going to be sitting there like, why didn't I do the mirrors as well? You don't know how many of our members have shook in their heads and said, Miss Florida, I missed it by a mirror. And I'm like, I know it hurts. Okay. So then here, again, we can either use, we'll start with the mirrors. 9, 4, we can either go 9, 4, 8 in that corner, or 9, 9, 4, 6. We could do it like that, okay? So if you don't want to read it from like 3, 4, 4, 3, 4, 6, I would probably start with the doubles or the mirrors, just to clarify that, okay? All right. So what actually hit the next date in Louisiana, this came May 9th evening, 984. 984. Yes, it did. Or was it right here? 984, 984. Okay. But like I said, you be careful. If we would have started putting predictions like just based off, we could have just did 443, which we had, or we could have even did 446. That could have been another options if we were doing that. Here I did it 498, 496. Those could be options as well. So Louisiana, what am I telling you? You guys are getting a lot of doubles and mirrors. This could be the hottest area to get those. I'm not saying it's the only. Trust me, it's not. There's more. When you start studying your wing outs, you'll see that there's more involved into this. But I just want to show you some of the basics. Are you guys loving this so far? Go ahead and hit that like. I so appreciate that. If you know anyone in Louisiana or looking for some hot tips on their Pick 3 ladder games, definitely share the video. We definitely appreciate that. Y'all, this is hot. This was hot. Now, I'm going to tell y'all, before we get to this next example, you have to study. That does not mean because I showed you something that you're going to run to the store and spend the money. No, you don't have a right to do that yet. You need to practice on paper first. You need to see if your predictions are spot on, so you have confidence when you go into the store. And I want to let you know something else. Just because this hits the next draw, it doesn't mean that it's going to always do that. So you guys are going to have to be prepared to hold on to numbers sometimes. Okay? Could be for a few days. So I just want to let you know that ahead of time, because sometimes patterns are really hot. They really do work, but sometimes they don't always come the next draw. So, open your minds up to that. All right, let's go into this next example. Y'all get the likes up for me. May 9th evening, there was a hit of 984. So I'm looking for my wing out. Okay, I notice again, the wing outs are coming for the left side, maybe producing more of the hits. Here we have a 0, 0, 0. You notice here we have the mirrors. That was a false triple. But that's what we call a false triple. Here is like a triple. Okay. But then we have the 505. It's false triple here. Okay. All right. So sometimes it'll do that. That's why you have to really learn how to study your grids. But if you didn't know how to read numbers, you might not have chosen that 505 to look under, right? And there's a reason why you need to know what mirrors are, because guess what? That's where that hit was. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's see what we would do. So being that I'm thinking they're more starting with the doubles, I'm going to start creating the patterns from doubles or mirrors that are slanted. All right, anything that comes under, pay attention. So 2, 2, 1, I would probably do 2, 2, 4. If you're looking under the 5, 0, remember what you do to one part, do to the other. Cover yourself. If you're going to do all this work, cover yourself and just practice on paper. If you want to start eliminate numbers, you'll do that as time goes by. Okay, so 7, 2 now. 7, 2, 6, 7, 2, 4. Okay, all right. Well, what actually hit? What actually hit was 6, 7, 2. 6, 7, 2. Where was it? Right underneath. Right under here. Okay. So y'all, Louisiana, this is pretty hot. I've seen it cool off a little bit. Again, make sure you are paying attention to the placements of everything. But y'all, this is some really, really hot stuff. So I want you to make sure that you're paying close attention. Remember your mirrors, okay? Because you don't want to do all this work just looking at triples or just looking at one part of the grid. That, you want to make sure you cover yourself and practice on paper first. Y'all go ahead and give your girl a thumbs up. I so appreciate you. So Pick 3 Louisiana, I hope this helps. Let me know how you guys are doing. And if you guys have other states, you guys in the memberships, definitely leave me a request so we can get with it. All right, we'll see y'all on the next video.